Fantastic. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our workshop. Everyone is connecting in there. Hello. Fantastic. Great. Hey, just as we join, you'll notice a couple of things. One is we love it if you can have video on because we love being able to see you. Look, if you're eating lunch or something like that, totally fine, up to you. You can have your video off, but we'd love to see you if we can. So definitely switch that video on. And then also you'll notice that we have our chat running today as well. So please pop in the chat just before we get underway where you are in the world and also what you do creatively. We would love to hear, just as we have more people gathering, where you are in the world and what you do creatively, just as we start to get underway. We're super excited about this workshop today, all about dream clients. It is such a powerful topic. But just in the meantime, pop in the chat where you are in the world and what you do. You'll notice that you are on mute here today. We're just going to have the three of us talking today, but we have so much to share as well. So here we go. And just while people are starting to add into the chat, I'll share where I am. Those of you that don't know me are probably saying, that's a funny, odd accent. I'm actually from New Zealand originally. I do spend most of my time based in the US on the East Coast. I'm actually visiting New Zealand at the moment, though, which is good. So it's kind of always a bit strange when I visit New Zealand because we're like a day ahead. So it's actually Tuesday morning here. A little bit strange how that works. So there we go. I'm already into Tuesday, so which is great. I love it. And just seeing in the chat here when people are sharing where they are. Amazing. Oklahoma City, muralist and designer, amazing. Welcome. Fantastic, hey Anna. Illustrator based in Amsterdam. Getting dinner, nice. Got in Austin. Hey Molly, fantastic. Missouri. Tana, amazing. Graphic design illustrator. Ashley, Kansas City. Hey Zoe, amazing. Oh, this is so good. Have a good read through it. See if there's anyone else who is in the same place as yourself. Both Riri and Joanna are going to introduce themselves in a while soon. You'll get to hear where they are if you don't know them too. But just loving the variety of things that people do, which is good. So there we go. Okay, so what we are going to do is we're going to get underway. So to start with, we'll actually get Riri. If you can give us a bit of intro of yourself, and then we'll pass to Joanna, and then back to myself. Over to you, Riri.
Cool. Hi everyone, I'm Riri. I'm a designer and illustrator specializing in hand lettering. I'm based in San Diego, California. So, yeah, nice to see you all. I'm gonna pass it over to Joanna.
Hi, everyone. My name's Joanna. I go by Weekend Wonder on Instagram, Los Angeles. A little bit about myself. I have a background in graphic design. I have a BFA, and I was an art director for like forever. Um, and then I started learning calligraphy and lettering in 2013 and shared my work online and started to pick up freelance. I've written a book. I've taught online and in person. I've worked with really cool clients along the way and then went freelance in 2020, which was not the best time. So once COVID went away, I decided to start working with Logan in 2022. And Logan was really great. I wanted to find a coach that had like a creative background, and he started and grew his own creative business for like 11 years and has since worked with hundreds of visual creatives in North America and Europe, helping them leave their day jobs and build their business. So it was really good timing for me. And since working with him, I've hit five-figure months and landed a few of my dream clients. I'm super excited to talk about today's topic. And I'm going to pass it over to Logan now.
Amazing. Thank you, Joanna. Thank you, Riri. It's lovely to be here and honestly just so excited to run this workshop. So I'll just add a couple of things to what Joanna said. So yes, I had my own creative business for 11 years. I was in the live event space. And during that time, I also got into teaching and coaching. I was doing a lot of work with universities part-time, right up to master's level. A lot of work with creative, lots of different creative, a lot of visual creative. These days, my focus is that we help creatives to grow their own business. So very much in the visual creative space, as many of you will know, a lot of our clients are very much graphic designers, illustrators, muralists. That's kind of our core area of people that we work with. And we work with people more or less in three different groups. Group one are like really early stage. They're like, hey, I want to leave my day job. I really want to make this business work. and go full time. That's usually, one of the big things for that first group. Maybe they've had the client or two or a project or two, but they really want to ramp that up. The second group are like, hey, I'm already pretty focused on this. I'm already bringing in a bunch of work. I've been doing this for maybe 6 months or a year or even a couple of years, but I really need to get it working. I need to increase that revenue, maybe expand what I'm doing. So that's the second group. And then the third group are like, hey, I've been doing this for 10 or 20 years, sometimes even longer, and I would love to get more sustainability, often increase the revenue as well in a sustainable way too. So that is more or less the people that we work with and the work that we do. Most of our clients are US based. We do have the odd client in Canada and the odd client in Europe as well. So we have lots to share today. And honestly, I'm so excited about this topic because it is one that a lot of people struggle with, getting your dream clients, getting your ideal clients. So just before we dive into it, one thing I'm going to share is that we are doing some giveaway freebie coaching calls. They will be with Paul Corgan, the creative business specialist in my team. Paul's here with us today as well. Fantastic. So if what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop this link in here. I would love everyone here to fill in this link. We'll go through people that have filled this in and give away a whole bunch of free coaching calls within that. So we're super excited to be able to do that. This is going to be a really good way to also condense the learnings from today's workshop as well. That form that I've dropped in the chat there, it's super quick. It takes like 30 seconds. There's like 4 questions there. So get that filled in. If you're here with us live, if you're on watching the recording right now, then make sure you click the link that we provided on the email as well. Amazing. Let's jump into it. We've got so much to share. So this topic here is kind of an interesting one. When we talk about landing dream clients, we're really talking about doing the work that you want to do. Okay, because we know that freedom and flexibility and making money through your own business, those are great drivers, right? Like when we say to people, like, what do you want? Like, why are you wanting to grow or start your own business? Like people often say those things. Hey, I want to have a flexible work life. I don't want to have to, work the standard 9 to 5. I want to be able to take vacations when I want. I want to be able to work when I want, right? That freedom and flexibility is so important. And I also actually want to learn sustainable income, right? Really, really important. But there's other pieces as well, right? Doing what you love is also incredibly important. And this comes up again and again and again with clients we work with, right? Yeah, it's good to have freedom and flexibility and to earn good money, but you've got to also be passionate and excited about the work that you are doing. And there's kind of 2 sides to this. One of them is like exactly what you're doing, the work. Like, are you creating? Are you designing? Are you drawing? But the other side of that coin is who? Who are you creating for? Right. And that's what comes down to those dream clients, those ideal clients. Because most people, yeah, could create anything for anyone, right? You're all creative people here, but we've really got to make sure that you're excited about who you are creating for, right? Because growing a business is hard, right? And if you're just doing work that you're not excited about for people that you don't really care for, well, when things get tough, you're probably just going to give up. You're going to be like, this is too hard. I'm going to go do something else. So it's really important that we're actually matching those pieces up there as well, right? Yes, freedom, flexibility, but those ideal clients, right? Those dream clients. So that's why we wanted to really run today's topic, because it's such an important piece of the puzzle. Finding that purpose in the work by actually working with people you actually like and you actually want to help. Is it perfect? No, right? There's going to be times where you do have clients that you're less excited about, but we want to have as many as possible that you do enjoy working with. This is so important. So we're going to be taking you through a few key points within this topic. Riri and Joanna are going to share some of their thoughts along the way as well, some of their reflections from their experiences of coaching and running their own businesses as well. So we really want to bring, that real live spin into it. It's great sharing and hearing the concepts and the theory and the ideas, but actually hearing from Riri and Joanna about the real world stuff is really, really important as well. So the first thing that we want to dive into is talking about finding your people, right? Finding these dream clients. Who are these dream clients? And actually figuring that out. So, ultimately, as I said before, it's very easy to do something for anyone. We've heard that when we sometimes start working with clients, we're like, great, like, who are your ideal clients? Who would you like to be creating for? And they're like, anyone that's willing to work with me. And the problem with that is, well, anyone, that's kind of hard to market to. And also, are you passionate about actually working with anyone? Probably not, right? And ultimately, what you offer, the things that you do, the creation process, you want to actually be creating value, right? We want to create value in the world. So part of this here is actually meeting needs. And you've got to align that with the people who have those needs and who are actually interested. So that is part of figuring out those dream clients are going, well, okay, who are people I'd want to work with? Well, who are people that have a need that I can actually solve, right? Some people talk about, a problem that can be solved. You can talk about a need that can be solved as well, some way of creating value. So I think this is a very, very important part of it is, yes, you love creating, you love your art. I get that, but we've got to make sure you're connecting with the value for other people, right? You have to find the people who actually value what you do. So part of this here is firstly getting clear on what you offer. Are you designing? Okay, great. What are you designing? Are you doing packaging design? Are you doing logo design? Are you doing illustration? Are you doing book covers? Right? Like, what does that actually look like? What are the types of offerings you're excited about? And then the other side is the who might actually be interested in those things. And you need to actually start narrowing that down. Often that takes a bit of a brainstorm, right? Like, is it restaurants, right? Would they potentially be an ideal client? Would they be a dream client? Maybe. Or is it like pet stores, right? It's really going, okay, well, what are the options in the first place? What I actually recommend is like get a big piece of paper and just write them all down. Write all the options down, even the ones that you're like, oh, I'm not sure if I'd be excited about doing work for pet stores, Logan. It's all right. You could write it down, right? This is part of the process is getting the ideas down. Now, this is if you've been in business for years and you need to get this tighter, or if you're at that startup phase, right? You need to start getting clear on, okay, what are the options here? Who might be interested? The really good thing is these often close, right? So success does leave clues. If you've had past clients you have worked with before, you might want to actually start going through them and go, who were the clients that I enjoyed working with? Who were the clients that had a lot of value in what the offerings were, right? Or you might be going, okay, well, who do I think might be interested? And how are you going to know? Well, you're going to actually have to market to them. So I think this is a big piece of the puzzle people get kind of stuck with is they're like, well, Logan, I don't know if pet stores or restaurants are going to be interested in what I do. And it's like, that's true. But if you actually start talking to them, market to them, promote to them, maybe send them cold emails, oh, you're going to learn through actual doing. I think in business, a lot of people are after the answer, right? Logan, like, what is the perfect target market that I can work with, the ideal dream client? Well, part of it's going to be a bit of experimentation. Part of it's going to be testing things out. Try talking to some different people. Try actually selling to them. One thing I will say within this is that for a lot of our clients, businesses are really great dream clients, right? So actually having a business as your client. And now part of that there is because they often get a return on the investment, right? So you're creating for a business, they often have a budget and they're like, great, I need this thing created, designed, and I'm going to get a return on that. Right. Before I mentioned restaurants, right? Well, if you are creating and designing for restaurants, well, your amazing artwork is going to help attract more clients for them, right? Customers. They're going to attract more people and it's going to help them grow their business. So, of course, you can be working with private individuals as dream clients, but it's just a different equation for them, right? So this is something that I will mention is you should definitely consider like what type of businesses could be great dream clients that you could work with there. I love it. So lots on this topic. Riri, would love to hear some of your thoughts, your ideas, your experiences around this as well.
Yeah, I think like when I was in Logan, like when Logan was coaching me through this part of the program, definitely like knowing what services to offer is and what kind of clients you want to reach, like writing that down really helped me kind of figure out, okay, this is the type of client work that I want to work on. And I think that really helped me like find and research the companies because there's so many different industries, and sometimes I feel like you kind of get like frazzled by, what type of clients you want to work on. So like I think that really helped me for sure. Um, and another thing, I think a big part of like my experience has been within like finding my clients is like definitely it's been word of mouth. So like really connecting with people with your clients, having that relationship and getting referrals has been a super important part of my journey. And also surprisingly, LinkedIn is a great resource. That's been an awesome way for me to find clients and also like be connected with my clients on LinkedIn. That's been an awesome resource for me.
Amazing. I love that. Thank you so much, Riri. And once again, good to hear these things in action as well. What we're going to do now, I would love everyone to share their Instagram in the chat because this is a great way to get people connected. This is part of building business as well as community. So go and grab your URL, like literally open up a web browser and drop that in the chat, and you'll be able to click and do that for actually following other people here. Joanna and Riri are going to both share theirs. Celeste from my team is going to share our one as well. There we go. And would love everyone who's here, right? If you're here live, pop it in the chat. It's a great way to get connected. We would love to get connected with you as well if we're not already. And also, it's a great way to connect with each other, right? We see this all the time. The power of community and connection is so, so important in business. And this is just a very simple way that we love to do this. So pop it in the chat there. Amazing, everyone's getting it, popping those URLs in. And then once you've popped yours in, go through and open up everyone else's and give them a follow, get connected with them. Right. This is really, really important. And also it's nice to actually build your following a little bit more with awesome people, supportive people as well. Thank you. Everyone's adding in the chat there. That is absolutely fantastic. Okay, cool. What we're going to talk about next, just while people are adding that in there, is the marketing sweet spot. So this is kind of an interesting thing because I think the internet, the internet says you've got to be everywhere doing everything, right? You've got to market everywhere. Well, the thing is that's kind of overwhelming, right? Like if you are a single business owner, like most of our clients are, and probably most of you are, well, that's going to be really hard to actually market yourself absolutely everywhere. It's going to be completely overwhelming. And what you're going to end up doing is diluting yourself across all of the different platforms, all the different types of social media, and you're going to do a little bit of everything here and there. You're going to be overwhelmed. You're not going to get very good at any of them, right? Because you're not focusing on any of them. Instead, the best strategy is actually to get really focused and rather than being everywhere, be in places in a really focused way. So the way that we really think about this is that you want to focus about 80% of your marketing time and energy in one area, right? So that could be Instagram, right? That could be cold email. And we're going to talk about some of these things in a little bit more detail as well. But this is a really important thing is that most people feel pretty overwhelmed when it comes to marketing already. And then they think they have to be everywhere and they have to be posting on here and posting on there and doing this and updating that. And it's just constant, right? And they just often feel pretty overwhelmed. But when we start to focus that in, actually, not only do you feel more in control, you actually tend to start getting much better results. And you also get better at that thing that you're focusing on as well. Now, the one thing I will say around this is that, sometimes we ask people, we're like, okay, well, what are you doing marketing wise? And people say, oh, like my thing is Instagram. And we're like, okay, great. But then we go to their Instagram and they're really inconsistent. They're not really posting much. They haven't posted in like a month and they're not really doing much there. And we're like, well, maybe they think their thing is Instagram, but the actions don't really match up with that. So if your thing is Instagram, that is going to mean that you're going to be doing multiple posts per week. You're probably going to be using stories. You're probably going to be using reels, and you might even be direct messaging with people as well. Right? Something like Instagram, well, the algorithm keeps evolving. We all get annoyed at, right? Every single person, including myself, gets annoyed with that algorithm. But part of it is that it will keep evolving, and we kind of need to keep up with that if Instagram is a big focus for us. Right? If you're like, I don't really care for Instagram, that's okay. Still post on it occasionally. It's a great place to still be, but you might get focused on other areas. So if we do say, yes, I want to focus on Instagram, I want to focus on cold email, that's going to mean you are going to need to put time into it. You're going to need to learn about it. You're going to need to put energy in that space there. What we tend to see for visual creatives, it tends to be that they'll focus on one of the following, sometimes a mixture of the following: networking, right? So that's definitely a way, connecting with people. This is even a networking opportunity today. So networking, partnerships, social media, and that social media is usually a specific platform, right? So it's not usually being everywhere. You can definitely be on multiple places, but you wouldn't be posting on all of them all the time, right? So that's something that we definitely see, is that being on Instagram is still a really good place to be. Riri mentioned LinkedIn. LinkedIn, we definitely see that working for people as well. If you are mainly focused on Instagram as your core area of marketing, yeah, you can still have a LinkedIn profile and you can still post on there. It could be even once a week or once a month, right? So you can have something happening over there, but the core of your energy would be on Instagram. Outreach is another area as well. We're going to talk more about outreach too. Email outreach still works, right? There's still a marketing strategy that does work. And we're going to dive into that because it is one that does tend to be pretty scary for most people. Something else I will mention here is that we, occasionally when we start working with people, they mention to us, oh, like my business is coming through repeat clientele and referrals. Now that is awesome. We love seeing businesses that actually have repeating clients and getting referrals as well. But the thing we do notice is that it doesn't tend to build a business long term to be sustainable, and it doesn't tend to help a business grow, right? It tends to keep a business going. But what happens is that over time, if you've got those repeating clients, it's hard to increase the rate. Not everyone comes back and repeats. And even those referrals, you tend to get similar people charging similar amounts as well. So if you do want to grow your business, this is where you do need to lean into those other forms of marketing. And as well as that, well, being on Instagram, that's going to help encourage more of those repeat clients as well, right? Because they may be following you there too. That's a really important part of it. Joanna, I'd love to love to hear some of your thoughts around these different areas as well, in terms of the marketing focus.
Yeah, I remember when I started working with Logan, I used to tend to suffer from like shiny object syndrome. So, it was like focus on Instagram, but then some people are finding success through TikTok. So then I was like, ooh, maybe I'll be on TikTok. And LinkedIn was a thing, and then YouTube Shorts. So I felt a little scattered, and Logan helped me focus back on the thing that worked. And at the time, and it still does, Instagram was my sweet spot. So that's where I have my focus, and I really try to utilize it as best I can. So I'll DM brands that I want to work with and do outreach through Instagram. Cold email does work for me, but DMing a brand itself and just trying to connect with whoever their social media person is to get a specific email to then do the cold outreach. Um, that kind of marketing has worked really well for me. And building up Instagram in order to land partnerships. Logan had talked about partnerships on Instagram, and I have reels and stuff that I can point to when I'm pitching to other brands to do partnerships. So my focus is on Instagram. I've done TikTok. I've found some success through there, but it really is like I just feel scattered if I'm not focused on one particular area. And I find the thing that works for me and stick with it. And it is nice to play around and see if something else works. But for the most part, if it's not broke, don't fix it. So, yep.
I love that. It's so powerful because I love what Joanna shared here, which is the feeling of being scattered, right? Like that is a very common thing that people can feel is it's just feeling I'm trying to do everything and it just feels incredibly overwhelming. When you can start to focus that energy, you can actually start to go, hey, I can now put my energy into this thing here. Right. And yes, look, it's often an experimentation phase, right? And trying some different things. That will often be part of it as well. So you're not always going to just be like, oh, it's Instagram, that's the thing, right? Or LinkedIn, that's the thing. Sometimes there is a bit of testing in there as well. We're going to dive into cold email more because this is something that, I think a lot of people when they hear cold email, they think of spam email, right? I get spam email in my inbox all the time. Spam email is like stuff that you basically don't want, you're usually not interested in. It's usually just like the same email. It's not personalized and it feels spammy. Right. And I think that's one of the big fears many people have is to like be that, right? You don't want to just, overwhelm other people's inboxes with rubbish, with spam. Now, the first thing I will say is that you're all creating amazing things in the world. Design, artwork is something that actually most people love, right? So you're not trying to sell like a oversized vacuum cleaner here. You're selling really interesting things. You're amazing services and products. So that's the first thing I will say. The other thing here is that cold emailing does work, right? It works. It still works. We see it as a really great tool. We see clients all the time gaining clients through cold email. Cold email is sending out emails, connecting with people who generally don't know you, right? So that's why they say cold email. Warm email is connecting with people that already know about yourself. So the first part of this is actually getting clear on the who. Right? And we talked about that earlier. Getting clear on who you are going to message is a really important part of this because it's like, great, I want to do some cold emailing. Well, I guess I can email anyone. That's really overwhelming. Where do I even start? How do I find the contacts of anyone? Instead, get really targeted, right? So we talked about, well, restaurants. Okay, you could say restaurants in your local area. You could even be more specific and look at specific types of restaurants. Right? So you might be like, well, it's not going to be fast food. It's going to be restaurants where you would go and you sit down. And maybe I could be designing their menu or I could be helping them with their branding, right? There's so many different opportunities there. That's a great ideal dream client, right? Restaurants. So once you're more clear on the who, then you can actually start contacting them, right? Now, part of that is personalizing those emails. Please, it's so, so important. If you just send the same email to every single person, yes, it may be quick and easy, but the problem is, A, it's going to look like it's not personal. It's going to look like it's a template email. And it's not going to look like that just to the person, the individual. It's also going to look like that to the algorithms behind this, right? The spam filters. So what's going to happen is most of those emails will stop going to the people, right? They won't even see them. It will just go straight to the spam filter, right? If anyone right now goes and checks their spam filter, depending on what platform you're using, I know mine in Gmail is just always overloaded with spam stuff that I don't even see, right? So one of the big things is you've got to keep out of that spam filter. One of the best ways to do that is to personalize the email. Now, the reality is it takes time to do that. And you've got to balance that. And I'm going to talk about numbers soon as well, because you are going to have to send quite a lot of emails to actually get success in this. So you're not going to have time to personalize every single email. That's the reality of it. However, what you can do is create a basic template and then you can personalize part of that, right? This is a very, very effective strategy. Create a basic email template and then have a component of that you can personalize often, the first part. Yes, try and use their name if you can find their name, if you can find an individual's name, but then write something around, hey, here's how I found out about you. It's a really good one. Even if it is, hey, I live locally and I came across your website, right? I was doing some Googling and I found that whatever it is, some way of them going like, how did you find my details? Right, so you can mention something about it. I found your details on LinkedIn. Right, great. Something around that can be good. You can personalize it even further, mentioning, you could help them, specific things that you do. Most of those things you still can often have as a bit more of a template. So not the whole thing is going to be personalized because that's going to take you too long when you hear how many emails you do need to actually send. Right? Personalization is important, especially things like their name where possible as well. So the next part of it is the experimentation and actually testing and trying this. Most people really struggle to send their first cold email. If you've never done cold email before, you're going to be like, this is spam, this is hard, this is terrible. Lots of blocks, lots of mindsets get in the way. But actually getting that first email out is going to be a really good step. Then you're going to have to send more. Now, the reply rate is really important to understand here. A 10% reply rate from cold email is actually okay. And so if I send 100 emails to 100 restaurants in local area because I want to work with restaurants, while getting 10 replies is okay. I would say that's success. Now, when I say replies, I'm not saying they will say, yes, I want to work with you. They just take the time to actually reply, right? That there is really, really important is that you have these reply rates. Now, we see much better reply rates than that. We have clients that get 20, 30, sometimes even 40% reply rates, right? So it can be much higher, but even 10% is okay. But that can feel quite overwhelming. You've got to send a lot of emails there. A lot often what we see is people say, "Oh yeah, I've tried cold emailing, doesn't work." And we go, "Okay, cool. Like, how many emails have you sent?" And they're like, "I've sent like 20 emails in the last month or the last 2 months." And we're like, "Yeah, okay, that's a good start. Nice." But because we're expecting maybe a 10% reply rate, you might only get one or two replies. So you're going to feel like it's a failure. But actually, we just need to do this more consistently. Now, a lot of people say, "Oh, it takes so long." Okay, well, it gets easier. You get faster at these things as well. And this is something that we see again and again. There's often those blocks around this, but it is a successful strategy. Now, there's a few other things you can do to make this a bit easier. You can send follow-up emails, right? We see really good response rates when people send a cold email out and then they send another one 1 to 2 weeks later, just saying, "Hey, just following up on below." Or you could add something else to that, right? People actually get a pretty good response rate from that. For some clients, we actually see that they get better response rates from the second email that they send out. Yes, you can send a third as well. Beyond that, it starts to get less valuable, but it's really interesting that those follow-up emails can actually work. But it does take time to get into the groove and figure out what works and also what doesn't work as well. Riri, would love to hear some of your thoughts around, cold email and your experiences if you can share as well.
Sure. I think what Logan said about like definitely templatizing does feel very like emails will feel like not personal, obviously. So what I also like to do is, and this is something that I learned from the program as well, is I have a templated email for outreach, but I use that as a base. And like Logan said, I do try to find information about whoever I'm trying to email. And especially when it comes to some things like art licensing, for example, a lot of these, places have specific requirements. And they could be looking for specific types of art licensing, for example. So sometimes you do have to like personalize your portfolio as well before sending that email. So it does take a little bit of work, but again, it's like a numbers game. So the more that you send, the better chance that they're going to respond to you. And also, I think following up is very important. So I do like reminders in my calendars to just help me. Okay, this is the client that I emailed a few weeks back. So a week later in my calendar, I'll just make sure to write, okay, I need to follow up with these people. That way, it does give me a way to, remember and also be consistent about reaching out to clients.
I love it. It's so, so powerful. We're going to dig a little bit more into this as well because I think, this is a really interesting topic, mainly because, as I said, most people are not excited about it, right? Like, but we've got to really connect this with the dream clients topic that we're talking about here, right? Because that's actually what we want is we want the ideal dream clients. And one of the reasons why cold email actually works and works really well for people is that you can target those dream clients, right? Rather than just going, well, anyone that kind of comes to me, right? Well, you're going to end up working with kind of lots of random people or no one because no one knows about you. Instead, you can put yourself out there. You can be proactive towards your ideal client, right? This is one of the things about cold email is that it can be very targeted. Now, the thing here is that most people feel, as I said at the start, quite spammy, right? Because you're putting yourself out there. It's quite a scary thing to actually do, putting yourself out there to people that have no idea who you are. But we've got to remember that the biggest challenge in business is that not enough of the right people know you exist. So this is a strategy to let people know. Now, you're going to get replies from people that say, "Hey, not interested. Please take me off this list. Please stop emailing me." Yeah, that's probably about the meanest thing you're going to get, to be honest. And you go, "Yeah, no worries. All good. You've taken them off the list. Don't follow them up." You're also going to get people who are like, "Hey, I'd be interested in learning more. Tell me more." And that can actually turn into more of a sales-based conversation. You're going to get a lot of people when they reply that'll just say, "Cool, we'll keep you in mind." Right? That can feel like it's a no, we're not interested. But we see that that also works. Right? We have clients who say, "You know what? That's funny. I had someone who came back to me from several months ago that I emailed and they said, 'Hey, we've now got a project.' Oh, I didn't expect that. I didn't know that actually would work." Right. So part of this process is getting more people to know you exist. Through this process as well, yes, you might email someone, let them know about you. You may not hear back from them, or they may say, yes, we'll keep you in mind. Or they may then talk to other people in their network about you, right? They're talking to someone a few weeks later who says, oh, yeah, I'm looking for someone to create this. I'm looking for someone to do a mural here or design here or illustrate here. You go, oh, yeah, I think I know of someone. I think I had an email a few weeks back. And you're not always going to know that it was that email, but part of this is putting yourself out there. Just around this idea of feeling spammy and dealing with that rejection. One way to really think about it, particularly if you're early stage, is that it's probably going to take like 100 no's before you get a yes. Right? You imagine dealing with rejection 100 times. No, 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 100 times. That's really painful, but you're going to figure out what people want and what people don't want. You're going to actually get better at cold emailing. Right? You're going to get better strategies in place. You're going to probably try some different types of emails, and that's going to help you to get to those yeses. Right? I think we all want the yes straight away, of course, but actually it's going to be more of an experimentation phase. It might take you 100 no's before you start getting those yeses. And then you're going to get more of the success long term as well, rather than just that quick fix, that quick project. Yes, make some quick money, but we want long-term sustainable business. Really, really important. The other thing I love about cold email is that this is something you can activate when things are really quiet. Right? So you might be really busy, you've got a bunch of projects, lots of stuff happening, and then you go, I've got nothing happening in March. Okay, well, you can get into some cold emailing. But if you haven't already been doing some cold emailing, that's going to be really hard because it's going to take time to figure out. You're going to have to get over some of these mindset blocks as well. So even if you're like, hey, Logan, like I don't really need to do cold email because Instagram works okay, or I get plenty of repeat clients or referrals, that's okay. But you should still start learning about this so that you can activate it when you need it, because there will be a delay from when you start. Really, really important as well. Cool. Joanna, would love to hear some of your kind of thoughts around emails as well.
Yeah, I'm laughing because I dragged my feet in the program when it came to cold emails. I was one of those that's like, I sent out 10 this week, that's fine. So I, at the time, didn't see a lot of success, but Logan's right. When things are slow, I revert back to cold emails. I have a giant spreadsheet, and I have tabs based on what kind of sector I want to work in. And what really helped me is reframing it instead of feeling spammy. I try to think of it as like, I have a service and how can I be of service for you and your company? I have a skill set that you can use. And when I've approached companies that I've wanted to work with, knowing that they're missing maybe like my style of artwork, I approach it from like a collaborative point of view. Like I really like your product or your brand, and I noticed that you're maybe missing this kind of style, and this is what I specialize in. So what do you think about collaborating, or what do you think about a partnership? So reframing it in a way that's more two people or two companies coming together to create something, instead of like, I need your money, or I'm broke and I need to find a job. So just kind of like reframing your mindset in terms of just being of service to someone else was really helpful for me when it came to outreach. It helped me get over myself, because if I have this gift and this talent, I should be helping other people. And that really got me out of I don't know, just kind of like in my own head, and not taking offense when people are like, no, thank you. Or sometimes no is like, not yet. So just kind of not taking it personally, and reminding myself that, you have a gift. We all have a gift. So sharing it is really important.
So powerful. And I love that. It's like this stuff needs to be out there in the world. Your amazing creativity has to be out there, but people need to know it exists. And that part of that theory piece of putting yourself out there that Joanne is talking about there. We're going to sort of switch and start talking about Instagram, right? Because this is something that we do recommend. Yes, I think we all have our days with Instagram, our months, sometimes our years of frustration that it's not working, or it's not working as well as it did in the past. It will keep evolving. It will keep changing. We're still seeing that it is a great platform for visual creative, right? So that's something I will say. I promise I will stop saying that when I don't believe that to be true. But at this stage, it's still a great place to be. Now, One of the things people struggle with is, well, what do I even post about? And how do I actually gain clients through Instagram, using it as a platform? And a big thing here that we see people get wrong occasionally is that they're just trying to sell on Instagram. You've got to be so careful. Rather than trying to sell in every post is, hey, you can buy this, and hey, this is available, you can hire me, right? Actually, that is going to feel spammy, and your followers are going to start to disengage, unfollow, right? They won't see that content, they won't engage with that content. So instead of trying to sell all the time, just focus on sharing your work, right? Examples of your work, examples of your process, behind the scenes of the work, right? And actually use it as a bit more of a portfolio of, here's the things that I do, here's what I'm working on, right? That's a big part of it. So that they're actually examples of your work in play, right? Now, you can do a few other things though that can actually help people to be clear that you are available. I go to some Instagram profiles and I'm like, oh, is this person in business? Are they available for hire? Is this a hobby? Are they a student? Right? Sometimes you literally don't know. And you might be like, well, yeah, but they have a bunch of cool designs. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't know if they're available for hire because it doesn't really say that. Right. And maybe they have a website, but is that just like them displaying their cool work? Right. Like, how serious are they? Do they actually want to work with people? Now, you might say, well, yeah, but you can just contact that person and ask them. But I'm not going to take up my time to do that. I'm going to search it out myself. That's what people do, right? Your dream client, your ideal client might be coming to your Instagram, but if it's not clear that you're available for hire, they may not even message you, right? So it's got to be clear that you are actually available. And there's lots of different ways to do this. One of the most simple ways is on your profile write up, you have something saying that, right? Available for hire, currently booking, right? To make it clear that, hey, you are available, right? People can actually work with you. That is something that's incredibly powerful that I think a lot of people tend to miss. The other thing that you can do is something that we call the blunt post. The blunt post is exactly as it sounds. It's you posting really bluntly saying, I am available. Hey, I do these services. Hey, I'm available for hire. Now, you don't want to do this very often because, as I said, it's more of a sales-based thing. People will disengage from you if you do it all the time. When you do that post, you probably won't get much engagement from it. That's okay. But now you've got something on your page that says, hey, I'm available. That can be a really good one to even pin at the top of your profile. So when people come to your profile, they're like, hey, interesting. Okay, this person is actually available for hire, right? And actually have a look around and might actually start to notice other people have done something similar, right? You can learn from what other people have done. You can be inspired from other creatives. And this is why connecting with other creatives is important as well, because you can learn from what other people are doing too. But that blunt post is good because it just clearly says you're available. The other thing that I will really recommend around Instagram that a lot of people struggle with is bringing you into it, right? This is really, really important. Great to share your work, absolutely. But we want to bring you, the creative, the artist, into this part as well, right? So, look, doesn't always have to be you, your face, right? It's good if your face is on your Instagram occasionally, but it could be an over the shoulder shot. It could be your hand working on something. We've got to show that there's a human, there's a person behind this business. This is really, really important, right? Especially as things like AI come out more and more, right? We need to show the real human element here. It's really, really important because people want to work with people, right? The people, your dream clients, they are individual humans, they're individual people, right? So part of it here is bringing that human connection in through bringing you in there, right? Sometimes you go to people's Instagram, you go, their work's amazing, this is really incredible. You go to their website and you can't find anything about the person, and you're like, is this even a real person, right? Is there a human behind this business? There usually is, but we've got to be very, very aware of that piece of it as well. Something that I think Joanna, you mentioned earlier on was the direct messages using DM, right? You can use DMs on Instagram, and this is lots of ways you can do this, right? Your followers are very easy to DM. When people follow you, you can direct message them and say, hey, thanks for the follow. I appreciate it. Creating that genuine connection there is really, really important as well. You can actually start conversations in your DMs as well. You can connect with your ideal clients that way as well. Get following of your ideal clients, right? If you're saying, well, I would love to work with this pet store, this restaurant, or can you actually follow the store itself, find their page? Well, remember there's a human behind that. like, yes, it might be the pet store, but there's someone that's actually running the social media that you could also connect with as well. We are going to jump into some Q&A next. And Gretchen, we are going to talk about LinkedIn with that too, because I think there's some really good things we can talk about there. But Riri, would love to hear your thoughts around Instagram, your experiences of that as well.
Yeah, I think with Instagram, I think the main thing that artists has been struggling with is obviously the algorithm and how it can really, affect some creativity around that. And I think what Logan said about like, just making the effort, especially from the program, what I learned was like, just taking action, right, is really important. And so what I try to do at least is, have if I have a series, and I haven't been able to do this as often lately, but what I used to actually do is take a piece of artwork and use that artwork in different ways, whether it's showing close-up shots, or, filming reels. That way you have like multiple different content. And I think that really helps kind of avoid like burnout in a way. Um, so that's what I've been doing in terms of Instagram and also like DMs. I think depending on the client or depending on, let's say, this account uses more social media rather than, updating their website or whatever it is, depending on, what you think the client will see, like versus like email, I think you can determine like maybe a DM, sending them a DM is a good, better way to kind of connect with that client.
I love it. So, so powerful. And, this is really talking about, connecting with those ideal clients and using Instagram as a powerful way to do that, to, yes, both attract them in terms of sharing the work that you're wanting to do, but also to actually proactively connect with them as well, using those things like DMs as well. I love it. We're going to jump into Q&A now. We do have a couple of questions that were sent in. If you do have a question, pop it in the chat. We might be able to cover it. We'll do what we can there. And just a reminder, we do have those freebie coaching calls we're going to be giving away with Paul Corgan, the creative business specialist on my team. I'm going to pop them in. I'm going to pop that link in the chat again. We'll make sure it's on the recording too. So those of you that are on live, if you can just click that link, take a look. I would love everyone that's here live and all watching the recording to just fill that in. We love giving away a whole bunch of those free coaching calls. And this is also going to be a really good way to condense these learnings and get beyond the theory, right? Rather than just go, oh, yeah, nice to listen. Here's some stuff. Actually get talking to Paul about what you've learned, right? And it's going to really help you to actually put these things into practice as well. Because it's great attending a workshop like this, but getting a bit of extra support is going to really help as well. So I'd love everyone to click that link and get that filled in. As I said, it takes about 30 seconds on that as well. And if you are interested in learning more about coaching and what that could involve, just mention that to Paul as well, and he can take you through what those next steps would look like and how we can get you some more information about that as well. Okay, so I do want to briefly talk about LinkedIn next. So the question here was, I'd love to hear more about LinkedIn and specifically how to use LinkedIn to market my design services. So LinkedIn obviously is a social media platform as well. You can actually use it in a pretty similar way to Instagram. It's got some differences though. Instagram does tend to be a bit more informal, a bit more casual. LinkedIn is generally just more professional, right? So it's got some different pieces there, but you can post on there just like you post on Instagram, right? You can actually be posting examples of your work. You can be posting, yes, a lot of different things. They start seeing what other people post because often you want to get beyond just the artwork as well and creating conversations there too. But you could post on there once a week. You could post on there 5 times a week. You could do more. But I just want everyone to be aware, yes, LinkedIn is an area of opportunity, but I don't want you to just kind of flutter. Which Joanna was talking about that where, for a while she was kind of trying different things and fluttering around. So what some people do is they go, oh, Instagram, I'm kind of over it. It's no longer working as well. They jump onto LinkedIn, they pour the energy there and they go, it's kind of working okay, but I've heard it work better. I've heard everyone saying Instagram's okay now, and they go back there. And that fluttering around can actually mean that overall the algorithms do not like you and you're just going to show up to less and less people, right? The algorithms do like consistency. So absolutely, you can use LinkedIn. If you're just going to use it in a small way, it could just be the occasional post. That could be what you do. Now, LinkedIn's kind of an interesting one because you can quite easily connect with people. it's a little bit different to Instagram in that on Instagram, you have to follow someone, they could follow you back. Whereas with LinkedIn, you can actually request a connection, which connects you both. There's no follow and unfollow sort of aspect to that. The one thing you can actually do is connect with your ideal clients on LinkedIn, right? You can literally send through a connection request. There's a few different ways that you can do that, but getting clear on your ideal target market, your ideal audience, your dream client first is going to help you know who to actually request to connect with. You can request to connect. You can actually tick and say, well, I'm going to put in a personalized message as well. Now, LinkedIn does have some paid tiers to it as well. So there is things you can do free. There's things that you can actually try and test out and pay for. If you're going to do that, it can get expensive pretty quickly, but you could always test it out for a couple of months, right? And start using some of these premium features as well. So yeah, using LinkedIn, you can use it pretty similar to how you do Instagram, get connecting with your ideal clients. You can also send those messages to people as well. I love it. Okay, cool. One question we did get sent in that I would love to hear from you about, Joanna, is the question was who is your dream client? And how do you mostly market them, or how did you find that client? Maybe you've got an example you can share, just kind of bring that to life as well.
Yeah, last year I was lucky enough to work with three. One is an NDA, but it's a very famous fruit company. But Target, I have two gift cards at Target. They reached out to me because they saw my work online. They had sent me the brief and referenced a bunch of illustrations for myself, personal illustrations that I shared to Instagram. And I was a perfect fit for an idea that they had. So that was really cool. And then once I did the first gift card, they reached out a couple months later saying, we'd love for you to design something else for us. And again, referencing my old work that I'd shared to Instagram. So that was great because when I first started Wink and Wonder in 2013, Target was just, everyone wants to work with Target. So mostly everyone. So that was really, really cool to have two back-to-back projects with them. And then last year I got to do a live lettering event for Coach, and Coach has been on my bucket list. I do live lettering for brands as well. And they had seen my previous work. I've done past live lettering events with other big brands. And it's just one of those things. I share my work online. I put it on my website. I've overhauled my website. So that's another good marketing tool in terms of like having projects up to date that you can reference. Some people have found me just by Googling, which is like, I don't realize some clients still do that. I assume everyone finds people on Instagram, but some people just, live lettering artist Los Angeles. And so that's how they found me. So it was really smart for me last year to, during a down season, just go ahead and update my portfolio, my website, which felt like a huge mountain to climb, but then it paid off in the end. So those two things helped me land those dream clients on my bucket list. I would reference something else, but I checked them off. So now I have to kind of rethink, think about my list and see who I want to go after next. So I've just been, I wanted to say lucky. I have been lucky, but it's lucky because I prepared for it. So I was ready when those clients came in.
Love it. So good. And, I love what you shared there. It's like, yes, luck kind of plays in, but it's really about preparation meets opportunity, right? There's opportunities coming that you were actually prepared for, which I absolutely love as well. I think it's so easy for us to, I think we all use that word luck so often, but as Joanna said, it's the preparation that actually allows you to grasp the opportunity, the luck that is actually there. So I love that. Cool. We have a question there from Tiffany around starting a mailing list, suggestions for good service, start up with. Yeah, Flowdesk, MailChimp, here are things that the two that we'd often recommend. One thing I'm just going to mention around mailing lists though, is that I think this is one of these things that if you ask a bunch of people like their favorite mailing list, you're going to get so many different answers, and someone's going to not just give you an answer. They're going to say, "Oh, this is the best one. You have to do this. This is like incredible." It's and I've seen people who've like changed mailing lists again and again because they hear from different people who say, "Oh, no, you have to be on this one." Right? The thing is that it's not usually about which mailing list to use. Yes, do some research, pick one, but then stick to it and get focused on actually doing the emailing. Because that's often the thing that gets in people's way, is that it's kind of hard to send regular mails out, right? It's hard to do that, newsletters. because things get in the way, life gets in the way, but we need to actually get into something consistent. And people go, oh, I'm struggling with making this consistent. Oh, it must be the platform that's the problem because this one's kind of hard to use. And then you're like, hear from someone else about another platform. Do you switch over there? It's also, you're going to have the same challenges because it's actually more about mindset most of the time. Right. So, yes, do your research there, Tiffany. Probably choose it. I would say choose it today, right? Be like, okay, I'm going to go with this, and that's what I'm going to go with. There's lots of great platforms out there, and there's more launching all the time. Try and use something that has been around for a number of years because they would have got most of those glitches out, like Flowdesk, MailChimp are great ones for that as well. Okay, we do have one more question we're going to answer that we were sent in before we start to go into our wrap up. This one here is kind of interesting because it's really about how do you know when something like cold emailing is not actually working? Right? We could kind of use this the same with when Instagram's not working. So we're talking about a marketing technique that's not working for you. How do you know when you should start to actually switch and try something else? Most of the time, most people haven't been trying for long enough, right? This is a big piece of that, is that it's very easy to just kind of try something else and do it for a few weeks, do it for a month and go, oh, that's not working. I'm going to try something else. It takes time, right? Any of these marketing strategies take time and take focus, and you're going to need to put some energy into it. Now, I'm not going to give you like a specific time frame because it's going to depend how much time, how much energy, if you're talking about cold email, how often are you actually doing the cold email? How many are you sending? So for you, it could be focus on something for 3 months. It could be 6 months. It could be a year. It could be 1 month, right? There's going to be a lot of variety in there. But most people give up too early. They're like, it's not really working. Well, they need to stick at it for longer, right? So if we're talking about cold emailing, well, we've got to get clear on those reply rates, right? If 10% is okay as a reply rate, well, how many emails do I need to send? Well, you need to send probably 100 emails to even get 10 replies. Are you going to know if it's working from that? Probably not, right? You're probably going to need to send at least a few hundred emails before you get clear on whether it's working. And it may not be cold emailing that's not working. It may just be that you're targeting the wrong people. It could be that your email, your strategy that you're using is not working very well, the way that you're personalizing or the way that you're using templates, right? Part of it is also going to be some experimentation, trying some different strategies, right? But a big part that we see again and again is that most people need to keep trying and trying consistently and learning and experimenting along the way. So that's what I want to share around that is that, ultimately most of the time, the reason something's not working is just because you haven't been doing it for long enough. You need to keep experimenting and focusing, right? These are all things that do work. Cold emailing does work for most people. Yes, you've got other things you can do as well, like Instagram. You could lean into networking, you could lean into partnerships, but we've got to make sure we keep that focus. Amazing. We have come towards the end of our time. What I would love everyone who is live here to do is to just pop in the chat. What have you learned today? What is a takeaway from today? What is something that you found interesting or helpful or fascinating? Just pop something in the chat as we start to condense those learnings, as we start to go into the wrap up phase. Would love to hear. What have you heard? What have you found powerful? What have you found interesting? What have you been surprised at? So just as we start to wrap up, pop something in the chat. And this is great to share with other people that are live here as well. This has been a real topic diving into lots of different areas here. Is this everything? No, there's so much more to learn. Absolutely. And we've got to get beyond that theory side. We've got to get into that action side of actually taking action around these different things as well. So one action you can take is fill in that form. Get connected with Paul. He'll be able to offer you a free call. We're going to offer quite a few free calls through this process here. And we'd love to get some conversations happening there. So make sure you have filled in that link. Once again, I will post that in the chat as well, just before we wrap up here. So you've got that link there. And honestly, it's been great connecting with everyone today as well. I love being able to run these, and Riri and Joanna, I really appreciate you both for coming along and actually sharing some of your skills, expertise, and experiences as well. We're going to wrap up there, everyone. It's been absolutely lovely to have you here, and looking forward to connecting with you all more as well. Awesome. Take care, everyone. See you later.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Take care.